Welcome back to the KUAM Morning News. I'm Fox 14. Joining us in studio today is Holly Miner with the K-State Extension Service. Holly is here to show us how to do food preservation. Holly, how are you? So tell us, this is new to me now. I haven't done this before. What is it all about? What is this contraption here and how does it work?
So we're going to talk about food preservation. Specifically, we're going to talk about how to test your canner. So this is a pressure canner. This is used when we are canning low acid foods. So any vegetables, meat, fish, poultry, seafood, those kinds of things, we would use a pressure canner. Okay. It's important to have our dial gauge pressure canners, which have this dial gauge on the front, to make sure that it is accurate. If it's not accurate, then the food may not be preserved correctly and it may cause harmful bacteria to grow in it.
Okay, all right.
So it's important that we do this every year. Your canner gets moisture in it when it's used. It could rust out the dial gauge. It could get bumped in moving it from the stove to where you store it at. And so we want to make sure that our dial gauges are accurate. So we have our little tester set up. We have a master gauge here. I'll turn this around so people can see. We have a master gauge which mimics the gauge on our canner. And we have a air pump that we can pump up. I have a little foot pedal down on the floor that I'll use. And what we do is we seat this gauge onto our canner and we make sure that it's on there and sealed.
This is fascinating stuff, by the way. I mean,
and then we pump up the pressure to, we'll go to 15, and then we look at what it is on our gauge here on our canner. And so at this point, it's about 18.
I've never seen anything like this before. This is amazing.
Yeah.
It's a little dial that you guys can see right on that. Okay, I'm following. Then we take the lid.
So we test that at 15 pounds pressure. We have a little sheet here that we use. So we test it at 15 pounds pressure, 11, and 6 pounds to make sure that each one of those are accurate. If it's off by more than 2 PSIs, then we say that their gauge needs to be replaced. And if it's less than 2 PSI, then we can adjust and make those adjustments when we can.
Okay, all right. And where do people even go to get this beautiful?
So all extension offices will have a tester, or should be able to send it to another office to get it tested. I know in the Wildcat District, Wilson County doesn't have a tester in their office, but I test them in Montgomery County.
And how often, or I mean, how popular, should I say, is canning?
Canning has made a comeback in the last few years. People really want to know that their food is preserved in a manner that maybe doesn't have any preservatives in it. It's just the food in the jar by itself. And you can add salt if you want to, but you really don't need to add salt to most recipes.
Is it cost efficient? Is that also a...
Yeah, so if people are growing gardens, it's a great way to preserve that food for use in the wintertime or after the growing season is over.
I love that. Okay, well, we are going to stop here, but you stay tuned because when we come right back, we're going to see this in action and take a look at all the different vegetables and how to properly preserve them. We'll be right back after these messages.